footballer gets into some kind of trouble, there's always a huge debate about whether they are role models, whether they should be role models, whether anybody pays any attention to what they do, whether people expect them to be out in nightclubs getting themselves into trouble, whether people expect them to occasionally have a cigarette and a drink. That really is not the point. What I'm saying is that a lot of England players who are going to be going out to Brazil are going to need to know right now what it is that they shouldn't do, because I don't think some of them are able to decide what kind of trouble they can get themselves into. And it may well be that the ordinary people of this country don't mind, the football fans don't mind what they get up to, but if they get themselves embroiled in some kind of, tabloid sting, or they get themselves embroiled in some kind of, scandal, which the papers all pick up on, then they may put their selection at risk, and that shouldn't be happening. So let's get a set of guidelines for them now. It started, this conversation, because of UK Sport, and Gareth A. Davies is with me right now from The Telegraph, because you wrote a story, Gareth, yesterday saying that UK Sport had set up these guidelines for their elite athletes, threatening possible withdrawal of lottery funding if they were caught in a strip club or in a lap dancing bar specifically. So you were telling us just before the news there about how they've now kind of changed their position on that, because they realised that perhaps being that specific was a bad idea, right?
Well, they're saying that they're claiming, they were claiming yesterday that, after it had gone out, and obviously got comments from them on Wednesday, and they said that they were illustrative guidelines. But that list that we talked about just before the break about, not tweeting, not using social networking in any way that would deem you to be offending anyone, or, but obviously, and this is right, not being sexist, racist, I agree with all those things. But the one thing they shouldn't be able to tell you whether or not, and it's a point of principle, this in many ways, why should they tell you whether to go in a strip club or lap club or not? They saw it was wrong, they saw the outcry, and yesterday morning there was a rapid, with alacrity, there was a U-turn, and it's funny, because I spoke to...
So is it now okay to go to a lap dancing club? Is that what they're now saying?
For about 20 hours... athletes could have had their lottery funding taken away for being at Stringfellows, for example. And I spoke to Mr. Stringfellow yesterday of Stringfellows nightclub, or Gentleman's Club, as he prefers it to be called.
Yes, that's what he calls it now.
And because, I understood that one of our Olympic athletes may have lost a medal at Stringfellows. I mean, he had no knowledge of this, Mr. Stringfellow told me yesterday. But the funny thing is, he said, look... I've had Olympians, boxers, he hasn't had Olympians, but he's had Olympians at Stringfellows, boxers, cyclists, sailors and athletes, and they'd all been regular visitors to the club. Listen to this list, okay? Sir Ben Ainslie, okay? Lennox Lewis, Carl Lewis, and Darren Kenny is even there. And when I went then to look on the website, he said, have a little look at our archives of guests. There's Darren Kenny with his gold and silver medals from Beijing, pictured in the nightclub. Now, he said, I remember the young man coming in. He didn't have a drink, he didn't have a dance. He was just in awe of the club. He said, over the years, all the tennis legends have been coming in there. The point being that athletes train and compete really hard. And you know what? When they party hard. They go out late, and these are late-night establishments. Interestingly...
But there is some kind of balance to be struck, surely, between what they can... do as funded athletes. I know it's slightly different for
I don't agree. You're way off track.
Or they're representing... No, if they're representing their country, not necessarily because people like you would not approve of it, or people like me, but because if they get themselves in the papers for being in the wrong place at the wrong time... Look at Jack Wilshere with his smoking, for example. He was caught smoking outside.
Well, I'd much rather see people... I'd much rather that be in the list. If you do smoke, don't smoke in front of children. If you are an athlete and you're caught smoking, and obviously it's detrimental to your performance, or if you're caught drunk and disorderly, Nigel mentioned this earlier, Nigel Bidmead, your newsreader, that's the kind of thing that implicates you. If you're... there's restaurants in Stringfellows. There's, I think what it is, it's a perception issue, and I think the problem is, it's sports administrators treating sport like a nanny state, and that's what this kind of attitude is.
But that's
frankly.
because we are a nanny state. I mean, we've reached this point where, you
Yeah.
can't be offensive in a way which you could have been a few years ago.
You're fairly offensive most
Well,
nights, and
people
I
think
love
I am.
it.
People think I am, but there are laws about what you can say,
Yes, yeah.
and there are rules about what you can say, and therefore you have to abide by them. Otherwise, there's a problem. And I think for athletes, particularly young athletes who might not know what sort of trouble they can get into.
Well, you've got to be 21 to go in these places
If somebody
anyway,
takes a
haven't you, so?
picture of you in a situation that is likely to kind of be embarrassing either for your employer, in this case UK Sport, or for your football organisation, whether it's England or whether it's your club, maybe they don't really know how bad the situation is out there. And quite often you'll get, say, a lot of Arsenal fans going, well, we don't really care that Jack Wilshere was found smoking a cigarette, and England fans will say the same thing. But nevertheless, it's something that goes in the papers and it ends up being an issue. Yeah,
it does. But the point is, if you... look, the reason why you have you have a point here, I think, is because if an athlete
It looks like everybody's left.
I'm not comfortable, so I won't jump. If I was comfortable, half rules and half of it both, then I'm like, oh shit, like eggs. Generally, I would.
Everybody's left.
So a couple of people I know.
Well, it's me and you, by the looks of it. Oh, no, they haven't. It's this Twitch counter. It keeps going down and then coming back up again. Everyone's injured. Not injured, he's bloody banned. I've no other left back this way. I need a left back. Dear. Dear, dear, dear. Come on, let's get through this. Carrick's gonna get injured. Come on. It's a bit of a scrappy goal, but I'll take that any day. Zaha is a beast on this game. But I've just given 4 yellow cards in one game.
Extra time on
3-0 on the night against Juventus, 4-1 on aggregate.
Woohoo! Got to load up at last!
What have you got? What to load up?
Commentators used to go. After an hour and a half of trying. Time to watch the stream now. I've been researching everything. It just would not load up. You beat someone 5-1.
When?
Who did you beat 5-1?
I can't remember now.
They wear blue.
Everton, I think.
Yeah, that's the last game I watched.
I think so. But Everton have just taken over me on second.